So we have the representative of Research, Academic Relations and Education, Vito Cecere. Thank you, Ms. Gallus, for inviting me to this important event. Ms. Helbig, thank you very much also for your comments on the situation in Turkey and Syria. In this context, it is also important to discuss about these difficult situations. Representatives of DAAD, students, representatives of scientific organizations, of universities, ladies and gentlemen, I would also like to say, as Ms. Helbig did, that today's conference is an important conference, and it is a great joy for me to be here and talk about a topic that is close to my heart and to the heart of the Foreign Office. Diversity is an important topic of our foreign policy. 15% of all students in Germany were students from abroad, international students in 2021-2022. Some of those are participating in today's conference, 15%, of which some of them receive a scholarship, and DAAD is doing a great job here. But whom are we reaching here among those 15%, and German students are included? Do they all have the same educational opportunities? Do we also reach people with disabilities and different social backgrounds, women from different social backgrounds as well? So when they apply for grants, do they face barriers? The Foreign Office and the Foreign Cultural and Educational Policy, of which I'm going to speak about, is dealing with the civil society and the people in the world. By supporting DAAD, we bring international students to Germany. But what does this Germany look like? The answer can only be it is diverse. Diversity is characteristic of our world, and it makes it exciting and it raises curiosity. People in Germany cannot be classified in one category if we assume that diversity is a worldwide phenomenon. So we also have to ask ourselves if we can still use the same criteria for our programs. The world is diverse regarding gender, age, social background, religion, nationality, sexual orientation, and other characteristics. Even if this diversity cannot be lived everywhere, we think it is an important point for our international agenda as well. Representing, promoting this diversity and contributing to more diversity and equal opportunities is the demand of our ministry on diplomacy and our foreign, cultural and educational policy. The federal government joined the Charter of Diversity in 2014. We also developed our own diversity strategy in the Foreign Office in 2019, focusing on visibility, appreciation and equal opportunities. And in 2021, we developed our own action plan for women, peace and security. And this has to be integrated in all aspects of foreign policy. And DAAD, as well as other organizations, have developed their own diversity strategy, and they have already started implementing it successfully. Diversity as a cross-sectional topic is something really credible, not only for politics, but for all areas that are dedicated to international exchange. Diversity is also a cross-sectional topic for feminist foreign policy. In the coalition contract in 2022, the federal government have committed themselves to a feminist foreign policy. And as a cross-sectional topic, they are dealing with the promotion of diversity. Feminist foreign policy is a value-based foreign policy, which is based on the conviction that all humans deserve the same rights, freedoms, and possibilities. And they have to have them. And they also need to have the same access to culture, science, research, education, and they need to have the same opportunities for participation. And this is an important argument in foreign policy. And it is evident that all societies are more peaceful if all people can participate in political, social, cultural, and economic communities. So women's rights are an index showing how marginalized groups can be participating in the free democratic society. Against this backdrop, we in the Foreign Office, and this is a discussion that we are having in the entire Federal Republic and also in the academic circles, but also in public. So we understand feminist foreign politics as a fundamental working way of working in all areas of foreign policy. That is to say, unjust power structures and privileges need to be overcome. Discrimination, even if it's hidden discrimination, non-intended political discrimination needs to be fought against, and just participation needs to be fostered. That seems very natural. We are obliged to do that as a democratic rule of state with the rule of law. But it makes a difference whether you just do it per forma, if it's because it's vogue, or if you do it because you're convinced that it forms part of your foreign and security policy, and justice and international educational politics can only work if everyone is taken into consideration and included from the very beginning. So you need to fill it with life and integrate it in your way of working. In an intense dialogue process with civil society, the Foreign Office has developed guidelines for feminist foreign policy, and the guiding principle of diversity has been considered from the very beginning. And the rights, the resources and representation of women and marginalized groups, as I mentioned before, should be strengthened, and they should be taken into consideration in all foreign policy topics. We are doing it at the moment in the world, in the war of aggression of Ukraine. And what does that actually mean for our foreign, cultural, and educational policy and educational policy at higher educational level? So this means we are committing ourselves to just representation and participation of everyone in cultural and scientific life and education. So if we consider our policy as security policy, this is how Ms. Baerbock defined it in her annual report at the beginning of 2021, then it is security policy for people who need us, who need our protection, and whose voice we would like to hear. So that means that we use the principle of gender budgeting. So we are supporting diversity-sensitive and diversity-transformative projects. That also implies that in all areas, diversity needs to be more present. Together, we can give visibility to marginalized groups, and our platforms and programs should be used for that, so that we can give visibility to those people. We need to listen more. We need to make sure that our support starts where it is needed most. We need to prepare ourselves better for that. And this is a task that needs to be fulfilled both inside and outside in our foreign office and in other circumstances, together with our intermediary organizations, together with the DAAD, with you. in such a format, we would like to use the guidelines as a guideline for feminist foreign policy, and we wanted to use diversity to promote intercultural and educational exchange, and thus do away with the power structures that had been established. So what does that mean for the higher education politics? This needs to lead us to the fact that we need to find answers at this conference, for example. Diversity, equal opportunities, and inclusion are also fundamental for international academic exchange itself. When diverse people gain access to international educational and research experiences, the dialogue between people from different countries and cultures gains further dimensions of encounter. At the same time, this increases the diversity of future interculturally competent specialists and managers. So the outlook of the discussion that we would like to continue in the Foreign Office as well is an essential question that was important for our guideline, and the excellence criteria need to be redefined. So we should focus in future on the promotion of potential and not so much focus on finding the best among the best. In some scientific areas, this is highly provocative, but this is something we should discuss at least. Another important point for us that also might play a role here is that multiple discrimination, that is, for example, social and ethnic background, age, and disability, that this multiple discrimination need to be reconsidered, and we need to make sure that as many people as possible have access to international academic mobility. And our international cultural and educational policy also needs to be on a broader basis. It needs to be more accessible, and we need to make sure that other talents and potentials are represented. The continuation of the successful protection programs, unfortunately, I'm talking about the Philipp Schwarz initiative, they are not exclusively, but also focusing on women and marginalized groups is something that is indispensable. We need such protective programs in order to create safe spaces and get people into safe spaces in case they are fleeing and persecuted and need protection. So our feminist foreign policy puts women and human beings at the center of attention, and diversity should never exclude anyone or disqualify anybody. Diversity is an indicator for democracy, for stability, and for peace, and for foreign policy, especially for German foreign policy. So this diversity needs to be represented in all areas, in the Foreign Office, in educational exchange, in order to foster it. The German Academic Exchange Service and the Foreign Office work together. We can learn from each other, and I think all of us, like me, are still learning every day. We are doing it at this conference as well, but also in the so-called diversity workshops, in which the intermediary organizations and the Foreign Office get together to exchange their ideas and support each other. And this contributes to the credibility, asking ourselves about the way we work. That may take a long time and lead to more work, and it might be a little annoying. We all know that, but I am absolutely convinced that this will lead to great changes, more diversity and equal opportunities. And getting back to the 15% of international students in Germany. So maybe in future we can be more convincing when we say that offers, that calls, program calls reach everyone who should know about them. So I wish you great success, fruitful conversations in the coming 2 days.